Good evening and welcome to Limerick Planning Board for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. If we could stand for a flag salute.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a pretty full agenda tonight. It's our, we have two walk-ins, I think. Stan, is Linda's all set for, to accept the application and set a site walk? Okay. If you want to just tell us for just a minute what you're planning, proposing, and then we'll go from there.
This property is on Cram Road. I bought it at least 10 years ago, and I have built the original building that was put on the property was put on in 2006, and there was, at the time, there was also a foundation put on for a 30 by 60 house, which was condemned by the town at some point after that, prior to my owning it. In 2016, there was a permit issued to build a house at 85 Cram Road, which was toward the front of the property. It originally had 12 acres. It's right now down to 7.5 acres. 93 Cram Road, which is now, was divided out a long time ago, was sold in 2023, March 31st of 2023. And then 85 Cram was just sold 2 weeks ago. So I had Stan come out and we did a walk through of the property. He's been out there a couple of times because I also have a permit for 81 where the original garage was put in 2006. So there's a house that we're finishing at 81. So it created a subdivision because what I wanted to do was to subdivide the last two lots into two. So I'm sure you must have a copy of the subdivision plan done by Line Pro from, they're from not Sanford, but Springvale. So I met with Stan. He said he needed to review everything. He called me and he said, you're going to have to go to subdivision. So he came out, we reviewed the right-of-way that was created. There is a corrective deed that corrected the easement that I need to sign from the sale of 85 Cram, because basically 81 needs to use it, and the two new lots that have been split into, or well, we're going to split them in two. It is my plan, I was originally going to build on the one to the left, the one that abuts the apple orchards that were owned by, what's his name, Stan? Walter? No. Victor. Who has since passed away, and now his children own that property. So that lot abuts Victor's property. I have since decided to just finish the house that I'm in the process of building. And I plan on just putting both lots on the market as a buildable lot. So it'll be someone else's responsibility. But the right-of-way is already in there. If you look at the survey, we put in the hammerhead that Stan requires. He's been out there. Ricky Richardson has been out, has approved it, said everything looked really good. I know that Stan said that we needed to do it at least 18 feet, but we made it 20 feet wide. So At this point, we're just waiting to get this approval so that we can have Kayla Dyer put it on the market as 2 buildable lots. Anyone have any
Two
questions?
buildable lots being proposed lot C and proposed lot D, is that correct?
Correct. The other lots are already developed, and 85 and 93 are already sold. So the last one sold was just a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. The one prior to that was sold March 31st of 2023.
So proposed lot D has, it looks like 1.55 or 56 acres.
All 3 lots are between 1.43 and 1.57, I'm pretty sure.
It says
Is
excluding.
that right, Stan?
Excluding the right-of-way, so that's good.
Yes, excluding the right-of-way.
And then the other one is 1.75,
Yes.
and then this
Is there
one's
one
1.77.
1.77 or something?
1.54, so,
Okay.
and then all of them have enough road frontage, is that,
With the right-of-way, yes. 85 and 93, their road frontage is on Cram Road. But those 2 have been sold, so they're out of the picture now. And 81 did have, but we used that frontage to put the right-of-way in.
so, can somebody tell me what that number is? Right here,
It's not yeah, it is. It's 175 feet.
this number is 175 feet? Oh, okay. And the access to that would be right straight into it, or?
It goes up the driveway toward 81, and then it veers off across the field prior to where the buildings are. They're quite far away from it.
So
And it
the,
goes across the field, and then it turns right, so it'll go, the hammerhead is up there to go either to the left to that lot or the one in the back, which will be to the right, and actually behind the buildings at 81.
The road is 579 feet long.
so, there's no problem with having the driveway off the hammerhead, is that correct?
They won't be using the hammerhead as a driveway.
They're gonna have to use the hammerhead as the frontage,
That's fine.
okay, and then they're gonna have to have a driveway somewhere off the hammerhead.
Correct.
Well, just
So-
like Emma's Way did, the hammerhead's a little further down than the driveway's before.
Yes, there's already a partial driveway. It's like probably 20 or 30 feet.
Can you show me what you mean by that?
Hammerhead's there, we're just being used for emergency vehicles.
So we have, this is the hammerhead and this being the frontage.
They're gonna come up here.
Come straight off into,
Yeah, and then this one's off here.
okay, so
Or up
there's,
here.
there's one going in this
Yeah.
direction, and then we're
Yeah.
going up, okay.
Yeah, there's one that's partially in already.
Yeah.
Does that pose any,
You can actually see the driveway here when you go in the property.
does that, I guess we can look at that,
Probably do no parking signs again.
probably, yeah. So we'll have to look at that when we go to the meeting. Just want to make sure that that it was big enough, it had plenty of frontage, the hammerhead's in there. So I think we're okay. I haven't had a chance to go through this application. You're confident that everything's in there that needs to be, Stan?
Yes, it is there,
Okay,
actually show my plans, so.
okay. So the answers to all of the conditions or all of the subdivision questions have been answered?
You'll have to do those.
Yeah, I'm not seeing those.
Okay, I didn't see that, so. So what,
I have a question. So this says on this map, 5.35 acres is how big the lot is, but then your application says 7.5 acres,
That includes the right-of-way.
the right of way.
That was the original, actually, the town says there's more there than there is, but that was, the 7.5 includes the right-of-way.
okay. What's the board's pleasure on that? You want to accept this as a preliminary and set a site walk and public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is gonna be a major stand? This is 4 lots, okay. All right, so, I'll make a motion that we accept, this, as a preliminary or a sketch plan, and set a public hearing and site walk date. Do you have a date in mind, the next, oh, we have to figure out next meeting first.
The 19th of this month isn't available, so your next meeting will be the 9th of September.
Okay, let's set it for the 9th of September. Do you have a preference on time? Can we do it that same day?
It doesn't matter, yeah, that's fine.
So, what do you guys do, or what's okay with you guys for the 9th of September?
You're gonna be
Just ahead of the
available?
meeting is usually best for
Probably
me.
not. I'll be traveling for the next several weeks.
I'll be there.
Okay, so what works for you guys? I think Peter and I are fairly flexible. I don't know about you guys. What, you'd prefer to do it closer to the meeting time? Probably.
That's easier for me.
How about,
But you,
I'm flexible.
Are we doing the 9th, second
Yeah.
Wednesday of the month?
second Wednesday?
first
Yeah,
one.
the
first
second.
would be the second. Or is that an issue with, when's Labor
Is there a
Day?
reason why we're doing the 9th, Stan?
I'm sorry,
Second.
the 2nd.
All right, so let's,
I forgot the 9th for something else.
all right, so we'll do it on the 2nd and do it at 6 o'clock, is that 5:30? What works for you guys?
6 would be great.
Okay, let's do it at 6 o'clock on the 2nd of September. And then the public hearing will be at 7. Okay? Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, thank you. So you're okay with that?
I'm very good with that.
Okay, so, I want to bring cramp, but, Joe is very familiar with our format, so we just want to make sure, he has all of the questions answered for major subdivision, so that we can.
So, do you give me that, Stan, to fill out?
Tomorrow, we can get working on that.
Okay. I can come in, well, I have a doctor's appointment at noon, but I could come in first thing in the morning if you want me to.
Usually they add that right to the plan. So it becomes part of the record.
Okay,
So September 2nd.
okay. Am I all set?
Yes, you're all set, thank you. We have Brian Austin here from Jay's Auto. And let him, if you want to take the podium and kind of give us a little update where we are and. Okay. You got the floor.
Oh, God, I
Tell-
don't even know what you need
tell-
right now.
Well, tell us, so I guess, from what I understand, you have a licensed auto repair shop.
Yep.
Got quite a few cars.
Yep.
On site. You don't have a license, I don't have a used car conditional use permit,
Correct.
so,
Not selling used cars.
okay.
So not, it was part of the plan originally when we originally built the building. We didn't have a bathroom facility, so that was one thing that knocked it down for us firsthand. So that was way back, years back.
Okay.
So basically, the long short of the process is it's still just an automotive repair facility. We had to grow the lot. We got bigger. We got way busier. I've grown to the point now where I've got 4 employees. Technically, my dad, who's retired, is technically still an employee. I have my HR director, who's also my employee / parts getter. But basically, we've kind of grown more with the town. Now, I will firsthand say we do have some cars that have been abandonments, which the way, old school way of life of doing business, yeah, drop it off, no big deal. We'll get together, and then before I know it, they're gone. And then I have to find titles, and I don't have signed paperwork, and that makes it real fun to get titles. So Stan obviously has alerted me, coming down, let me know, hey, get cars, you got a back row. I said, yep, I know they're old. I'm plucking them away slowly. I think I'm down to at least 4 more that are technically not mine, if you will. I know they're on my lot, but they're not owned by me, so I have to obtain titles to be able to get rid of them. Other than that, that's really about it. I mean, it's basically, I look at the percentage of growth over the last, over the years. And we just did a check after having me and my younger guy, Finn, we actually did a check to see where we were at shop-wise, just because number of cars, we even thought to ourselves, we had a lot of number of cars. Monthly average is 160 to 200 cars that are built, dropped, and sold, and repaired, and out, and within a month. So between me and my 4 guys. So, I mean, our numbers are definitely up there as far as in and outs. Definitely have some people that have left their vehicle behind that are way harder to get titles for than I want to say.
So you said build, dropped, and sold. What does that mean?
The job was sold. The repair was sold.
Okay.
If you see cars like for instance, you will see a car occasionally, and it's out of just kindness of my heart. I have a lot of customers, good customers. They're all done with their car. They decided they wanted to put out front. I have a great road frontage. I have great foot traffic. I give them usually about a month. I say, if you want to put it up for sale, it's your car, not mine. Best case scenario, it sits there for 2 weeks normally, and it's sold. So,
Okay, so
if I'm not,
so that's technically running a used car lot.
it's not mine. It's just offering the lot, which if I can't do it, that's fine. I mean, I
Yeah.
can say no.
So,
I looked at it.
so I guess I need to hear from Stan as to what would you like to see happen here? It seems like we've got way more cars than we have in and out. A car should be there, I'd say no more than 20 days, and
It depends on the project factor too, though. I mean, I have 3 vehicles out there that are pretty extensive projects.
okay.
So for tear down, rebuild, and so forth. So I mean, and I do obviously, I do try to live by, honestly, an old Frank Carroll motto: back them in, make them straight, line them up, make them look good.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
there's been a lot of attention on the amount of vehicles at Jay's Auto. So going back and forth, I asked Brian to come in and explain to the planning board what he's doing. He does have a lot of vehicles there. He says he's servicing them. I have heard rumors that he's selling them. He actually had 2 vehicles out there for sale, but again, it wasn't beyond the limit the state doesn't allow without a license. So he's never infringed on that. But the concern is, again, there's more than 2 vehicles. They seem to be all registered. I have not run all their plates to make sure that they're all currently registered. But there's been a lot of comment around town about it possibly being a junkyard. So I wanted Brian to come in, explain to the planning board what he's doing. I do know that you've had some conditional use with service garages limiting vehicles, but I think if you're gonna have that many, he did expand, 3 years ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, we did expand. We officially have 5 bays.
He added another bay. I didn't feel that that was a significant amount of change. The vehicles were there. So to enhance the service, I figured it would get rid of more of the vehicles. There's a lot of vehicles there again, and I've said that many times, so.
How many vehicles are on your property?
At the moment, so the way, the best way for me to explain it to you is this. So I have, if you come into the lot, which you're all welcome to come down to the garage anytime, I've got nothing to hide from you guys, is anything that's on my front row is customer owned, customer waiting to either pick up, me do the repairs, and so forth. Now, the back side of the cars are cars that have lost touch with the customer, haven't obtained title. And/or if you go to my back, a couple of the cars, or a couple of my workers' project cars, because I run a repair shop, they like to, they dabble in toys, if you will, because they're gearheads at the end of the day. So, and as far as like the other side of the row, there was a couple of projects that I had, which obviously after talking with Stan, amount of cars, I didn't disagree with him to the point of, we do some ice racing, we do a lot of different things with cars, not just work on them, but we play too.
So how many cars are on the property?
Right now, without a head count, 60, if I had to take a stab at it. So there's probably more than 10 that I'm trying to get the customers to come back and get away with and get out of there. So, especially one that's already paid in full, which I'd love to see disappear because I don't want to work on it.
So about a quarter of them are abandoned cars, which is about 4, and 10 that are finished and ready to be picked up, and then
And then some are impossible to find the
6
customer.
or 7 are projects that your
I would give
employees
4,
are doing?
honestly. Maybe,
4?
Yeah, maybe 4.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an old Toyota pickup down there, which is definitely a project car. It's not the prettiest either, which we've already talked about, just moving it out of the way so it's out of sight, out of mind also, just for cleanliness too. And then I have one where the gentleman has passed away. I actually found out from another customer, so I'm trying to obtain the title for that. There's another one that's supposed to be going away as soon as Sean can get down there and get him, because he's one of the few that's still running up and getting cars and dropping them off. So,
So Stan, is gaining title from someone who is abandoned and then selling, disposing, does that become used car sales?
Well, again, abandonment under the statute is a different separate thing. If they're abandoned, he files for a new title and then he sells it, that probably would be selling the vehicle. But if he's getting a title so that he can have a recycler pick it up and dispose of it, I wouldn't consider that a sale, because they're getting $300 to $500 a vehicle for scrap. So it really isn't a sale. The other thing would be, in 2025, I counted 84 vehicles in the front. He has diligently been trying to reorganize, clean up the yard, and get rid of what he could get rid of. The other concern is that it's all gravel, it's not a paved area, which, again, a lot of people have been concerned, particularly with the issue with CIA salvage, and the contamination at the business park next hour. So it's just, there is a lot of vehicles there, and I wanted Brian to come forward and explain and see what the planning board would consider with combined 5.
Can you provide Stan with some sort of an inventory of what you got?
yeah.
Maybe put them in some categories and say, and kind of, it's gonna have to be a rolling inventory, like you have some cars that you're working on,
Yep.
currently working on.
Yep.
These are some cars that are abandoned. These are some cars that,
I get a full list for you. I can
just
let you know
kind
what.
of,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
guess we have to have some sort of a basis to come up with, and I think that's probably the best starting point for us.
Yeah. So,
And,
just to add, and not to interrupt, but so basically, right now the yard's not terrible, honestly. It's actually pretty good. You'll notice if you're driving by, there's definitely moments where I've had 3 tow trucks in my yard all at the same time. And then all of a sudden, all my parking spots disappear, and it's a matter of getting fixed as fast as possible. 9 times out of 10, my schedule is a week to a week and a half. Occasionally, it's 2 weeks out. especially with the lack of garages in our general vicinity now. So when we lost the page a little while back, I've got minimal repair facilities to help out, take out the workload. So I take on as much as I can, I get it done as fast as I can. So when the 2-week workload comes in plus the tow in, I can end up with 4 tow ins in, a week. And dependent upon the tow in, I mean, obviously if it's possible for it to be towed in at a reasonable time frame, like when the appointment can be made, great. But if it's broken down on the side of the road, I try not to tell my customers no. Obviously, I want convenience for them as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't think there's any concern, anybody has expressed concerns about vehicles that are turning through your facility, and you mentioned you guys have been really successful, and that's great to hear. I think if there's concern, obviously we have concerns around, not concerns, but there's been a lot of discussion around junkyards on this board, and
Totally understand
and
that
also, used car sales, conditional use permit. It's for used car sales. So is selling cars something you'd like to be able to do? And is that something we should,
Not
is there like
really.
a conditional
I mean,
use permit for that?
If it makes life easier, better, and good, I'm happy to go through the process, honestly, at the end of the day. It's not something I intend on doing. Most of the cars that we get that are either abandonments, like I said, we do some ice racing, you're technically your demolition derby. Most of these cars are gonna go out at scrapyard price tags. Honestly, a lot of times, it's a customer's car that's all rotted away, no good for a sticker. They hand me a title, they say, have fun, good luck. And then as soon as it's done for the winter, I call Sean, he comes, picks it up, it goes away. Usually it goes away underneath their name. So we never even at that particular point.
Yeah.
So, and I do try to shuffle those out as quick as possible.
You said earlier you didn't have a bathroom back then. Do you have a bathroom, running water, and
Yep.
a well now?
Yeah, we have a full facility for bathrooms. So by rights, yes,
Yep.
I can set that up. It wasn't something I technically wanted to deal with because used cars, I could never tell you how Uptown does it. I'm amazed. I'm proud of them too because, man, it's a hard market.
Have
So-
you tested your well water?
Yeah.
And everything was fine. And
Yeah.
I've got a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
vehicles
Oh,
on
no,
your
no, that's
property,
fine.
and you've got gravel. I just want to,
No,
obviously
absolutely.
that's
No,
a
and
concern.
honestly, the cars that come in, even the customer basis is actually really conscious of that. I just had a Volvo come in that lost the radiator. And the gentleman literally put a bucket and layers of cardboard, the best thing he could think of to do, and called me immediately to let me know. So that's where we evacuated out, made sure it was empty and clean and clear, and then we got it back out in the lot after getting it checked. So my customers are good to me in that sense. They let me know when it's really leaking and stuff like that. And we usually, if we ever have any leaks, anything goes wrong, we usually get rid of that dirt and everything else and dispose of it properly.
So, Stan, is there a number of days that you consider a car that's been on the lot too long?
I usually follow the state statute, which is temporary storage, and that's 180 days.
Okay. So we should know how many cars are over 180 days. Because at that point, it becomes a junkyard. Is that correct?
Right, and it's a violation of other statutes,
Okay.
particularly not being on pavement or impervious areas, and the fluids and hazards are not drained.
So we have cars that are being turned over, and long-term storage cars that are there for greater than 180 days. Those cars that are over greater than 180 days are technically salvage vehicles, and you're supposed to have an automobile salvage.
According to state statute, you said.
Right, you
Okay.
should have a recycler's license if you're gonna do that.
Okay.
Again, and they should be, if they're gonna be stored long-term, they should be on a impervious surface, which is either concrete or pavement. If it's on impervious, it's more important that the 180 days is adhered to and that the fluid's being drained.
And his own personal cars, he can have no more than 5, is that correct?
Well, the statute for junkyard is anything more than 2. So you can have 2 unregistered, anything more than that, it's classified as junkyard.
Okay.
Some people have, and we do have one on Proventure as well, that he brings in a car, he strips it, and he's making, I guess he drag races them or does the bang-up derby thing. I don't really call him on the carpet, but I do go up and say, you need to clean up your property, and I have done that with Brian, and I said, well, you got a little more tires here, you got a big scrap pile of cardboard, and the business is busy, and he's cleaned them up, so
So from the way I'm thinking of it, you need to figure out the 180-day storage thing.
Yep.
That needs to be probably a priority right away. How do we help him get to where, is there something we can do to make it better for him? We probably, had we known this, we probably would have set some sort of limit on the property at that time. I probably was the only one that, I definitely was the only one that was on the board at that time, so.
What I do is what the Brian said, he'll categorize what he's got there. So
Yeah.
that will give us a better idea. And I don't know if Brian, if I push in your schedule, because I know you're busy.
Yep.
But if I can have that by September 9th or the third week of September,
We should be able to do that.
that would be, you know,
No, that's fine.
I can fill the board in and then we can
Yep.
combine our.
I honestly think Finn might actually have a general lineup of what's been there. So we do have a nice new computer system for all of our scheduling. It actually tags our cars officially. So actually, I now know when cars are actually coming up to a certain point where someone doesn't come to gut it, something happened. So it actually is going to make it a little easier on me to help with that factor too.
That will give everybody an idea of what we're dealing with.
Yep.
I've got some contacts at BMD that will give me some better ideas of what we can do for alternate temporary things.
Yeah.
To get it resolved.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, at the end of the day, so all of the back row cars, the goal was between the next 2 months to hopefully get every single one of them resolved. They're all useless at this point. They're not even valuable of any parts for, saving grace for older cars. So that was the only good thing is, a couple of rubber tubes and some, old fuses that you don't find anymore in the new stuff, was a saving grace too.
And most of the vehicles that are pretty old, out of service are on the left-hand side, correct?
Correct. So just leaving the lot, and it's easy enough. When you leave the lot, there's a Tahoe, there's a WRX that is going to be towed away. The customer was supposed to fix it, and unfortunately, kind of gave us a runaround, and then it was going to get fixed again. So we said okay, and then now there's no questions asked. It's getting towed away. And then from there are 2 black Subarus that are going to get gone very soon. Actually, I have a friend helping me out with those. And then there is a little Nissan Altima that's actually something I'm supposed to be fixing up to hopefully put on the road because it's not rusty. And then on the other side of the driveway, there is a Tahoe, which is officially going into the garage to get repaired finally. It's actually in there right now. And there is a 2500 that I cannot contact the lady, so I'm just going to go after the truck so I can get rid of it because it's a heap. And then I think the next one is a gentleman that passed away over the course of I think late winter, early fall, which a customer alerted me that was a friend. So I have to chase after his title. And then the rest of them are Finn's, which is
Yeah.
2. Those are the ones that are
So
out
I
of
think-
rotation, if you
so
will.
I think, I think the best thing for you to do is to work through a stand, kind of come up with a list. That 180-day thing is probably an important date.
Yes. And I have been trying to stick to that with
important
with a lot of it.
timeframe. And then in the meantime, we'll talk to Stan and see if there's something that we can do to help you get to a point where we have a more manageable amount of cars. So, okay, so
Yeah, no, I mean, whatever I can do to help. I mean, I guess the only thing I'll run into, which, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there'll be some understanding occasionally, hopefully, that when there's a busy season, there's a busy season. They get dumped on me quick, but we're going to get them out as fast as we can. That's for sure.
I think that 180 days is the thing that Stan's looking at. Things that are over 180 days, that's kind of a drop dead date for Stan, and it's
Yeah.
a drop
And
dead
180
time.
days is more than fair. Honestly, I'd rather see them out at 60, so.
Okay.
In terms of fire lanes, are we all set there?
He keeps that open really well, and the back has been open.
Yeah.
We added the new bay. I think there's at least 40 feet of gravel area on that side, so
Yeah, there'll probably be more soon, too.
yeah, I really haven't seen any issues with that. Like I said, if I go in and I see more tires than I like to see, then I just ask him and he takes care of it, so I don't have an issue with that.
And those are away from the building at this point too. They're very far away from the building, so we don't have to worry about those.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
You guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Do we want to go back to the minutes and approve those?
Yeah, sure. I haven't even, I didn't see any. Do we even have them?
There's 65 pages of minutes.
Oh, these minutes. No, this is the finding of
Minutes of
facts.
findings. Joanne has the minutes. And
I mean, I could have it, I just probably had lost it.
it's all, Stan has transcribed everything. I don't think there's really much that we.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to look through them? or-
I don't, no, I don't.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for June 17th and June 19th?
Oh, motion to approve the minutes for June 17th?
Is that and June 19th?
And June
or-
19th?
Okay. What? Oh, it's only the 17th, so it says including the transcript of 7/19.
That's July 19th.
Oh, sorry, July 19th, 7/19 is July, not June.
So I'll make motion to approve the minutes from
Is the date,
June 17th and July 19th.
or just the transcript was done on the 19th, is that? It was finished. Okay, so the date is actually, sorry, the date is actually the 17th, but the transcript was done on the 19th. Is that correct?
He did, he actually finished it yesterday.
Okay, sorry, I
So
didn't,
just make it the June 17th, and it includes
All right.
that transcript.
you were right, Peter, I'm sorry.
That was confusing though, to approve something that happened 3 weeks before. So,
Yeah,
Somebody seconded.
I will second it.
okay. Motion is seconded. Any discussion on those? All in favor? Okay, thank you.
So I have the copies before everybody leaves, the 3 copies for you to sign here.
Okay.
Is this a good time to talk about the attorney, so we can?
Sure. Why don't you, do you want to go to the podium? Do you want to, how do you want to do that?
So I know there was a little bit of discussion with the attorney. A couple weeks ago, I did approach Ben McCall, who's the town attorney, and asked him to look at the notice of decision. I haven't written them for several years, and I wanted to make sure that I was still doing it right. And I also asked him, if needed be, would he represent the planning board? Should I go to an appeal? So he had a discussion with the select board. The select board felt, because the planning board did so well, and we have a very solid document and a full experienced board, that they wanted the town attorney to represent the appeals board. And the principle or the basis to that decision was that when the appeal goes from the planning board to the appeals board, the planning board doesn't have a lot of things to defend at that point. So it really doesn't need to be represented, but the outcome was, after last night, is the planning board did authorize Ben to represent the planning board if we need it.
So I did, the selectmen had it at their meeting last night, and I went to the meeting and said that the planning board, I felt would definitely want counsel at this appeal. and that we had reached out through Stan with Ben and would like Ben to represent the planning board. So I guess I kind of put the cart before the horse. I had Stan had kind of reached out to him, so want to make sure the rest of the board is okay with that and wants to, if you want to discuss it, that's fine. My thought is that we worked really hard on this decision. We tried to be really diligent to make good conditions and do a good job, and then we want to defend that. And also, I'm nervous about the appeals board that has been appointed, that their lack of experience or lack of really looking at the case without just trying to do something for the applicant, for the appellate. So it's my feeling that we should have representation. It's my hope that Ben and whoever the appeals board get for counsel can work through this, and we'll be able to steer this process in a positive manner for the board, or for the people, I guess. So happy to hear you guys' thoughts. And
There is always the chances this may not go to an appeal. I'm trying to work with Sean. I think at this point, we really need to focus on Route 5. But once Sean gets the copy of the final notice of decision and the minutes that were transcribed, he'll let his attorney look at it, and they'll make a decision. Now, if the appeals board goes forth, the planning board will have to vote to approve to go forward with the attorney, right? So that's, I mean, so far, the attorney's only represented us to vet the notice of decision. So, but at that point, I think it would be premature to decide it at this point. But
So there's nothing on the calendar right now for an appeals board to review?
no, there isn't.
Okay.
No. And again, they've got some things they need to do sooner than later. It's beyond I can't advise them or consult with them, so hopefully they do get some legal advice to continue.
Is there a time limit he needs to appeal, like from the notice of decision or from that meeting? How long?
he's already appealed.
Oh, he has,
Well,
okay.
already
It just
appealed.
hasn't been scheduled, okay.
That's right.
The attorney Ordway sent in an appeal prior to receiving the notice of decision, so the appeals board still couldn't move forward until they have a final notice of decision. Even though you guys voted on it on the 17th and everything was approved, I was able to use what was recorded to issue a notice of violation, and so that was that. But for legal purposes and being able to conduct a hearing, you can't do it without a paper copy and a notice of decision. So that's why they had to wait. But
So, I'm not sure how you guys feel, but if, I would like to retain Ben as our counsel. If you want to hold off, if we could, you could give me the authority to retain Ben, should it go to an appeal, should an appeal be scheduled, or if you have something, some other plan, then all ears, but I don't want to get to the point where we have to go back and fight after the fact, so I would prefer to have things lined up and have, if something were to go, if there should be a problem, I would like it to be taken care of by the lawyer during the process without us having to get to the point where we have to go to court and challenge the appeals board.
Yeah, I mean, I think having some representation at during the appeal would be a good idea.
I think in the best interest of the people of the town, the priorities are keep ensuring rules keep people safe and our environment healthy and clean. And then also we know that it's important to this town to also not waste money on things. And so when we did not have the right support in previous years, it felt like that escalated into a much bigger issue. And so if we are able to nip that in the bud earlier, I think that's in the town's best interest.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. So is there a motion on this? You can either, we can retain him for, should there be an appeal, or you can give me the authority, however you guys would like to do it.
I'd make a motion that we give the authority to obtain counsel for the planning board in the appeal.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. And just further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
And thank you. There is a time, and I know you guys have struggled with, as well as I do, when I'm doing my daily job, is we try to work with people. We don't want to restrict them. We want to, but sometimes you have to hold people accountable. And I think the time's come to be consistent and hold everybody to the same consistency and accountability, so.
Okay, so we have some findings to sign. We also have to discuss the SWEP plan
Yeah.
that was presented to
Yep.
us.
I know you want to talk. You want me to go first? So the SWIP plan Sean presented, this is the third one. The first two apparently weren't corrected. The first one showed a lot of redactions that were highlighted over or crossed out. The second one, I really didn't see a whole lot of difference to this one, but this is the final one. My concern is, again, the red arrows show or indicate the flow of water, but without having elevations or grade indications, I don't know if the water is actually going to go in those directions. The other concern is we're using an older version of Google Earth picture, so it's not a real representation of the property that's existing today. The third thing which was noted is it isn't scaled. So if you look at it, it will say this is 10 feet, and then if you do the diagram, the comparison to the 20 feet is very much off. 10 feet, 20 feet is like a half an inch, or 20 feet, 10 feet was like 2 inches long. So it isn't by scale. So again, I'd like your opinion. To make it more satisfied for me, I would like more detail and specifics to the spillway. I would like to know how close to the ditch of road, Rangy Road that it is. It doesn't indicate that, but, and those are all minor changes, and I'm sure Sean wouldn't mind. The other option is if, again, and Sean's running out of time, the town does have the authority to request a third party at Sean's expense, and I'd rather not do that if Sean is able to do it here. But it is an option, and the board does have that option to do so. And finally, if he wants his condition, the clock started ticking June 17th, and he's got 60 days to produce this, so. Are there any questions when you guys look at that I can raise to Sean?
Do we have a copy of that here, or?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess,
Yep.
I guess if you will listen to Merrill, and then you
Yep,
can.
no, that's fine.
Rebut on that.
I mean, I'd like to have as many opinions and concerns that I can address with Sean tomorrow to give him opportunity and time to address the concerns. So, Merrill, the floor is yours.
Dan, I have one question for you. Is it allowable for someone to have runoff off of their property, concentrate runoff, and then allow it off their property?
Well, that's a good question, and that was something that I ran across the attorney. You'll notice in the notice of decision, it actually references a part of our ordinance that says it cannot run off onto somebody else's property. There is a statute too, but our ordinance specifically says you cannot allow it to run off onto somebody else's property.
So this
it's-
this is running water off on someone
Right.
else, whether it be the town or whether it be someone else.
Right.
This,
And
so,
some people will direct water, but it's supposed to have an opportunity to drain on the property that it's produced from.
so
But
this isn't really allowable.
right, so.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
we really need a plan of how this water is going to be clean and infiltrated on that property, not run off on the property. I understand maybe in a very large flooding,
Yeah.
that might happen, but
And again, if it's run off from natural storms like anybody else has, you can't prevent that. But if it's a more concentrated flow through a spillway, and depending on the flow, it really shouldn't be going on to somebody else's property.
So like, an example of this is, when they designed the fire department, they, contacted us and said, you know, we would like to run this water, and they put it from the fire department to our ditch. They couldn't run it, concentrate that water, and then run it directly onto us. They had to run it, and then basically got a drainage easement to go on our property, or the farm's property, or my parents' property. And so, this is not that. There isn't an easement to run this water off into someone's property.
It does definitely need more detail to explain and give us a good idea. So, but
From the engineers that we dealt with, they considered this a point source.
Yeah.
When you concentrate it all to a point, then it has a different effect as to if it's a natural runoff. And so this has become concentrated to a point source and then allowing it to run off.
I mean, I think the intention, because it says it's an overflow spillway, it says, you know, in the notes, it talks about being 10 feet higher, so I don't think the intention from the engineer is that they're concentrating it and letting it spill over, but I do agree that it should be clear on the plan what that is. Is it like how much, what is the natural flow of water? How much will that sediment basin hold? What does that volume equal for the 10 foot? What does that equal to like 100 foot or 100-year storm? That kind of detail to kind of ease some of those concerns about it leaving the site. And I agree that topography would be good, but you know, it is a stamped plan by an engineer, so I do think we need to be not careful, but you know, this is someone's professional reputation. They've reviewed it, so I think we need to allow a little bit of leeway and maybe just give them an opportunity to clear it up a little bit.
Okay.
I think I'd also like to see the proposed changes that we said taken into account, like the vegetation in the front. Does having the fence that's required on the side also change anyway about water flowing, the 2-to-1 slope being there, just confirming that the changes we're proposing are included in how things are moving as well.
And Sean said he was going to be watching tonight, so and if he didn't, I'll fill him in on it. The other thing, once this is done and approved, we will need a new site plan that shows this in it.
All right, so we'll reserve the right to call you back up and after Merrill does his presentation.
I charge for second consultations, but I'll let Merrill.
Double the fee, that's fine.
I decided not to put it on a TV screen this time. I don't know if it's better or worse, you guys can let me know in the future. You already have a copy of this particular document, but I'm using it, I'm bringing it back because I'm pretty sure you didn't bring all your paperwork in from all your meetings to
You haven't seen my backpack.
I think I do have that one here.
And sadly, my computer is running out of colored ink, so I could only make 3 of these, so there's gonna be a little bit of sharing to be done. And I apologize for that, but it was getting expensive. So I appreciate the opportunity to comment on the SWEP plan before your decision tonight to accept it, reject it, or modify it. I have seen the final SWEP plan, and for the public, SWEP plan is a stormwater pollution prevention plan that has been submitted by CAA from Stillwater Engineering. And fortunately, 2 versions that existed before this final draft I have also seen. As you likely recount, I authored an email to the planning board dated July 23, 2026, after reviewing the second of these 3 SWEP plans. My concerns remain the same on this final draft, and I have several additions now that I have seen more information. I have to do this, and I apologize, but for the general watching public's knowledge about what's in the content of that email, I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to highlight what were concerns. So in that email, I expressed concerns of why was an old Google Earth image from June 25th, 2025 used for this SWEP plan when a more recent Google Earth image is available. And I provided that to you, and it was in that letter, so it's been still more than a week since that letter was sent to you folks. And I believe that Mr. Gerard was aware of that concern, and it was shared to you by the Code Enforcement Office. This old image misses property details that I think are very important and does not accurately reflect the property features that are there now. These missing details include the significant earth and fill that has been added to the front of the property, the burlap border extensive earthwork, the extra material added to the property, especially behind the buildings, and some filling of the ravine area. Should a viable SWEP plan include elevations? Again, Stan brought that up. I don't know how you can trust drainage if you don't have that information, even, I'm sad to say, from a survey that's been signed and stamped. I'm not, I guess, as trusting. The third thing, the newest SWEP plan, provided and displayed here on the easel there, displays a caption in the lower left corner indicating an area to be further leveled out for, in quotes, temporary trailer/vehicle storage. That's this caption right here. You all have it on, I guess, a smaller version of your map. I don't know if you can read it. But area to be leveled out for temporary trailer/vehicle storage. All sides slopes at finished grade to be a minimum of 2 to 1, and stabilized with vegetation or suitable alternative, example riprap or erosion control mix. I don't understand that. That means that information was conveyed to Mr. Ruck, the engineer, I assume? That plainly is against state statute for a junkyard. But I think it goes along with what Mr. Gerard blatantly wants to do, which is expand his usage of his property, in spite of numerous educational discussions you folks as a board have given him. He's no fool. He knows state statute. Fourth is I question why Stillwater Engineering changed the location of the sediment basin for its October 24, 2024 swept plan. That's the copy of the narrative document, and you have a copy of the site plan from that October 24 swept plan that was requested by the board at a prior renewal. I propose the change in the location of that sediment basin is because, again, Mr. Gerard wanted to claim more land by adding fill for potential future usage. Not Stillwater Engineering feeling that this basin would function better in this new location. And while on that subject of whether Mr. Gerard is influencing this stormwater engineering report, let's consider the facts. First, the new sediment basin location is closer to Range Road, provides less spillway area for overflowing water to be absorbed on his property, CIA's property, and less area for vegetation on the property to help filter sediment, etc., from the outflow. Therefore, do more contaminants go into the Carroll property, which is downhill, or perhaps to that vernal pool, swamp, whatever you want to call it? Does more water get delivered to the side of the roadway that's just been recently paved, Range Road, risking the road base? A second thing in regards to my concern about the quality of this engineering report is I find it offensive that an engineering firm doesn't provide a schematic to scale image. He did write on there things are not to scale, but it was pretty deceptive to look at the spillway, see how they pictured 10-foot outflow from the basin going to 20 feet. He wrote the proper numbers, but this is what 20 feet in the scale that's on there looks like compared to what is on that schematic. I think it's a game. And I'm sorry to say, but it doesn't make sense that that engineering firm would be trying to promote what I guess is Mr. Gerard's advantage. And you may have to really come up here to see this, and I apologize in what's going to be said soon. So in my recent emails to you and now, I question if Mr. Ruck, that's the engineer from Stillwater Engineering, who in that letter that you have there from October of 24 has 30 plus years of experience, has in fact visited this site to produce this document this time. There's no narrative to accompany this site plan. In that narrative, it said he had visited several months before, providing the final report in October. He has too many errors or misrepresentations of what the property is. If you're using an old Google Earth and you've walked the property and seen all these other changes, you shouldn't be happy using that old image. I don't care if you have to go fly your own drone to take an image. But there's too many errors and misrepresentations. I don't feel that Mr. Ruck has walked this property. Finally, most concerning to me, for a document that is prepared to the highest engineering standards, why has the final draft lacked Mr. Ruck's initial recommendations that appear to be redacted from the first draft copy to our CEO? This can only be appreciated if you come up here and look tonight on that left-sided diagram. That's the first. You have it. If you had a computer in front of you, you could do that, or if you decide you're going to put any decisions off, go to your email from Stan and enlarge the image when he sent you that. So this is what the full copy of what was on the email. I admit I enlarged it in order to see some stuff that you can't see any other way. And I would like to go over a little bit of that with you. And again, you may have to walk up here, but you see a major redaction up here? Something's been changed. Totally eliminated. You cannot read anything except be used is in there. That's all. That's in the back of the property, perhaps where the ravine is. I'm only guessing. But someone has taken and redacted that and doesn't want that on their plan. There's another one here. There are no words no words, images, anything that can be seen in this area that appears redacted. I can't read that. Maybe you know what that wording is. In here, sorry, I have to do it. Complete repair of, and it looks like 3-to-1 riprap stabilization slope. That was pointing here at some point in time. This one below, removed screening fence to be, and I can't read that word, the top of the slope. My presumption is it's saying in the report a fence is to be put back at the top of the slope. Someone wanted this removed, which luckily stayed on the report. I know that Mr. Gerard pays for this report. I know he works directly with the firm, both at CIA Route 5 as well as this site. I recognize what economics do to any business, but I don't feel that you're getting an objective engineering report in spite of the stamp when I see that. And Mr. Gerard provided this information to Mr. Hackett. I didn't go find it any other way. It's fortunate that it was given to us to see. In conclusion, I hope you do not accept this SWEP plan for the many reasons I outlined, seeking to have it redrafted with all the materials now missing or needing correction completed after I suggest an on-site inspection by Mr. Ruck. But you know what? I really think there's something much better, and Stan already has said it. I think it's time to reduce the risk of a tainted opinion and request a second environmental engineering opinion, a firm that you folks pick, you folks give the background history for the property, you folks ask what you want for details on this SWEP plan. It's a site that has multiple undrained vehicles. It's called a junkyard. It's been enlarging. Again, look at the picture for what Mr. Ruck provided, whatever drafter you look at, and look at the picture of Google Earth. You have many other images that I have provided to you through Stan that will show you how it's enlarging back there. Today, there's wood, piles of wood sitting in front of the fence to the left of the driveway as I came here tonight. There's just too much potential that this individual doesn't want to comply, but that he's twisted everyone's opinion about what he has for an operation. I don't trust this engineering report at all. My opinion is it should be in that bucket right there. But please, come up. I read it to you, but I think you should come up and look at it yourself and be sure, because you're going to make a big decision sometime about this. See what's in there, or go home and play on your computer. And thanks for your time.
Thank you.
So again, what I said is I was going to go back to Sean because I agree with Merrill to the point where is we got to have something that's more detailed in order to enforce it and to make sure that the town's interest and the people's interest is considered. But
And the neighbor's interests are protected.
so, I wasn't going to accept it anyway, but I do want the board's input. I appreciate Merrill doing what he does, but we do need more detail. And I need more detail to ensure that it's done properly, so, and we don't have it.
It does seem like that has moved quite a lot to one side, and I think it takes away the effect of the grassed waterway outlet, and so I think that there's certainly a lot of concerns that both you have and Merrill has, and I'm sure the board has. So personally, I don't think we're ready to accept it, and I think when you think it's ready, bring it to us. And
But he's running close out of time, and before the next meeting, he will be out of time, so I will keep you guys posted. The other thing that Merrill brought up, where it says temporary storage, it is in the minutes of June 17th. It is also in the notice of decision, where it was literally said that he was going to use it to turn around, unload stuff, but there is no storage in front of the fence.
And correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding of a stormwater plan is, it's more, I mean, it includes a narrative, it's more than just a plan drawing, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like forms, that is what I was requesting, like, he submitted to us,
there should be sheet flows. there should
right,
be
like a
all
couple,
calculations on flows, calculations on loading, calculations on all kinds of stuff.
I think my first iteration through this, so that, I don't even know how many years, I don't think I've been on it that long, but it feels like it's been that long. He had a complete stormwater plan in that application. The first time around I saw this, and I think that's what the board was asking for, was an updated version of that, not just the diagram.
And I had asked for that, but he wanted to get the design out to us, but again, I saw it a few days ago, and it just, I'm not going to accept it, because again, I don't have the detail that I need. One of my concern again is even though the red arrows do say this is the way the water's flowing, how do I know that's flowing that way? So,
Also, I feel like until you have a plan in place that is acceptable, filling, moving, changing, grading, all this stuff to an area to then say, this is what we're gonna do, it should be a plan in place and building it to that spec, not doing a whole bunch of work and then trying to fit your plan to that. So
and I think that's where he's at now, and I agree with you. If he can't do any more bringing in the fill, because again, obviously, we don't have a approved plan, so we don't know exactly where, because again, it doesn't describe it or identify exactly where the retention area is going to be. It doesn't exactly say where the spillway is going to be. So we need that information before any more alterations of the property is done in the front.
I think to Brian's point is that there should be calculations to prove that the size of the retention area meets the criteria of the stormwater loading.
And he did have that originally in 2024, so.
I think that was there originally.
Yeah, so I think, again, I agree with Brian that we do need that. And hopefully that's what he's preparing for Route 5 as well at this point, because he's working on both properties, but.
So, I guess we'll wait to hear from you.
On September 2nd.
Yeah, if we need to figure something out to give him more time, I don't know. We'll see where we are with that, I
Right.
guess.
Well, at this point, we're going to communicate by email, so if anybody's got any concerns, please reply to all, and then we'll all make comments.
All right, quickly, Merrill, and I think we're gonna move on.
I apologize, I just want to get this on the record. One is, this sweat plan also, and I sort of insinuated it by what's crossed out at the top of version 1. This is not about the whole property. He's given you really just what's happening in the front and mostly the Carroll side of the property when he gave a sweat plan. You've got to remember the ravine that's being filled. Concrete from J.P. Carroll's has been brought in there and dumped there and considered inert. Now, there's not a filling station I've seen in this world that had, at least on the surface area, didn't have multiple spills over the course of 30, 40, 50 years, whatever number of years that was there. The state's not going to protect us. And I'm going to specifically say, Martha Hamilton came out here from Bureau of Land Resources, or Department of Land Resources, which is part of DEP. She came to look at this concrete issue and maybe some of the front fill. She sent an initial email, and Stan, please correct me if I'm wrong. It said, I'm going to make a decision in the next week, but I need to remind you that anything that you disturb in 5 years, more than 1 acre, you have to have a permit for it. All of you have been here long enough or heard how much has been disturbed over the course of the last 5 years in that property. Well over 1 acre. Stan wants to say it's half the property. I think it's less, but it's still an incredible amount of that 7 point whatever acres. She went ahead last Friday and said, you're okay having just done those 2 little things, making it sound like that's all he's done. The state is not going to protect the town of Limerick. You have to. And he did, after your decision in findings of facts, he kept doing construction in the front and did all this placement of this new sediment basin. So I know it's not going to be perfect, but this is an image showing where he's placed the basin. Remember, this is the property line right here, not down at the road. That's the property line that is here. So I just want you to see it's down close enough, and just like you have, and that's why I'm bringing up that the October of 2024 sediment basin was placed further back from the road, and he put it where he wanted it to go. And you just drive by it, you'll think, oh wow, that's pretty darn close to the road. I'd rather that you drive by than me provide a picture, because I think it's going to help you better understand what's happening to that property and the risk. Thank you.
All set? Okay. So, I think that's all of our agenda. A reminder to do your FOA training. So are we saying that we're not having an August 19th meeting?
There's no meeting film.
Okay, so next meeting is September 2nd.
Are we supposed to vote on not having an October 19th meeting, or are we just saying it?
I don't think that, it doesn't matter, we can
Okay,
vote
cool.
if you really want to vote on it.
No, I just didn't know, because I think that's what it
There's nobody
said.
here to.
I think that's what it said in the email. I was like, make sure you vote on it. I was like, do
There's
we
no
vote
one here
on
to
it?
vote, there's no one here to film it, but.
That's
if-
fine with me. I just want to make sure,
Okay.
based on what I read earlier.
All right, so, with that, entertain a motion to adjourn, and we'll sign the findings. Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, thank you, and have a good night.